Hey guys, today is Thursday, September 17th. It's just after 5 p.m. and the temperature is 17 degrees Celsius. I'm currently walking north on Lower Sherbourne Street, and this is Front Street East that I'm approaching. And the plan for this walk is to cross over Front Street and onto Sherbourne Street. And from there I'll walk north for approximately 2.5 kilometers to where Sherbourne Station is at the intersection of Sherbourne and Bloor Street East. The entire walk should be somewhere around 2.5 kilometers. This is the St. Lawrence neighborhood, and on the northwest corner there are a pair of 16-story condominiums going up. I think I recall reading almost 70% of the units in those buildings will be one bedroom. That was just a look west down Front Street towards the financial district. And you might have heard that Sherbourne Street doesn't have the best reputation in the city of Toronto. And some of that is warranted, I think. But for the most part, it's relatively safe and not really dangerous or sketchy at all. So this is King Street East, just up ahead.
So what he said, what Phil said,
I'm pointing the camera this way as the sun is directly behind me, so there wouldn't be much of a view. That condo there, I believe, is the King Plus condominium development. And opposite of that, on the other side, would be King's Court. Both are built atop rather old 1800s era buildings. As we progress north up Sherbourne Street, you'll see that there's actually quite a lot of historical buildings on Sherbourne. There's a look west right into that sun. You'll notice there are bike lanes on Sherbourne Street. I've taken my bike down this street a number of times before. And in this area in particular, there tends to be a lot of furniture stores to probably cater to all the new condo and loft developments that have sprung up in recent years. So this next street is Adelaide. It's a one-way street that heads east. I think I'll just cross over to the other side. And this building here on the southeast corner is Paul Bishop's house. It's actually a pair of old townhomes. And that structure dates back to 1842. I'll get a better look at it once I cross the street.
well, good to know though. If ever, well, you will see me.
kind of neat how well preserved it is. That building on the other side are the Imperial Lofts, which is a fairly recent loft conversion. And as I mentioned, there are bike lanes on Sherbourne Street. The next major street that runs north to south to the west of here is Jarvis Street, and Jarvis Street used to have bike lanes and they were removed. And soon after, in 2013, new lanes were installed here on Sherbourne. And since then, the city has built out its cycling infrastructure quite a bit. So this area is considered downtown Toronto. It is on the east side. And this street up ahead is Richmond Street. This is a one-way street that runs in the opposite direction of Adelaide Street. And like Adelaide Street, there are bike lanes on Richmond, which makes both of them rather viable options for going east to west throughout the core of the city. And just up here on the left is a rather controversial building, as that houses a safe injection site. Which many have blamed for the increase of interesting characters, I like to call them, in the area. Just across the street on the northwest corner is Moss Park. Which is known for not being the safest park in the city to hang out. I've walked through it several times without incident, although I probably wouldn't have a picnic there. Don't know what happened here. But this used to be the Libertarian Public House. And there was a patio area in the back. And in 2017, someone was murdered back there. I think the business didn't reopen since then. And this is Queen and Sherbourne, long considered one of the more sketchier neighborhoods in the city, or intersections rather. It's quite common to see police cars and ambulances out front here. And across the street is Alfie's, where I think you'll find one of the most hilarious Yelp reviews. It's not exactly PG-13 though. So again, that's Moss Park, just on that side. This area would be considered the Moss Park neighborhood. It would be loosely defined as Queen Street, which I just crossed, to Sherbourne Street, which is the next street to the north from here. And in between Jarvis, which is the next major street to the west, and this street, Sherbourne. That's the Moss Park Arena on the left. And I imagine the cashiers in this Dollarama have a story or two to tell. That's interesting. If you do live in the area, it's probably worth your while to head to the Dollarama down on Front Street. And that's a community rec center. And I think there's a basketball court and swimming pool in there. And it looks like a bunch of tents have popped back up on the... Oh. That cab just crushed. Huh?
It's not first time.
I know, they're designed to go down and pop up, but he just broke it.
But the other one too, that when he broke it.
The garbage trucks at night just plow over all of them, right? So this is Sherbourne and Shooter Streets. Looks like there's a fresh coat of pavement on Shooter and a bike lane. I don't know if that's new or not. I'm just going to cross over and take a look at the north side of Moss Park briefly before I continue on back up Sherbourne Street. This park stretches to the south down to Queen Street. And I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it looks like there's quite a large tent city still on the south end of the park. The last time I walked through there, there was a tent that had a number of what I'm sure weren't legally acquired bicycles. I've mentioned it before, but there's a rampant bike theft problem in the city of Toronto. And the area I'm entering is known as the Garden District, named that after the Allen Gardens, which is just to the north of here. All is clear. I'm just going to jaywalk it. So Sherbourne and Queen doesn't have the best reputation, but neither does Sherbourne and Dundas, which is just up ahead. A lot of these older homes do date back to the mid-1800s. And a number are, I can't speak today, a number of them are designated heritage properties. A long time ago, Sherbourne was sort of the fringes of the city of Toronto, and this is where a lot of its wealthier residents set up camp. So it's kind of interesting to see how it's gone from being a relatively wealthy street to kind of the least wealthy in the downtown area. And while much of the south end of this area along Front and King Street has gentrified quite a bit, as has Jarvis just to the west of here, and even Parliament, which is to the east, Sherbourne remains relatively untouched. And speaking of sketchy reputations, we're about to cross Sherbourne and Dundas, where I came by on Dundas Street East the other day in a video. This church here in the corner always has some interesting activity going out in front of it, or going on in front of it. And at the end of August, right at the southwest corner here in front of the convenience store, someone was sadly stabbed to death. And just before that, there were 4 stabbings right at this intersection. I think that's the store where a lady was unfortunately stabbed by another woman. There's the King Place, a well-known Pakistani restaurant. You can probably see all the people gathered out in front of the church on Dundas Street. Sadly, I don't carry change in my pockets these days anymore. And that there, I believe, is the Allendale House. That's sort of a more rural Ontario design to it. And I think that one also dates back to the mid-1800s. Some of the older properties here aren't so grand or particularly worth saving, like this one. But this is the style of building that I think Sherbourne and Jarvis is perhaps most well known for. I know from my previous work, this group of semi-detached houses here are, in fact, heritage properties. They've certainly seen better days, though. At some point, a developer is going to come knocking and want to redevelop them. I'm not sure if that'll be anytime soon. This lot sat vacant for quite a while. And it should probably be fenced off to the public. It's a bit of an open hazard. So this next street is Gerrard Street. And on the northeast corner, or northwest corner, will be the Allen Gardens. I've talked about that a few times in prior videos. I'm kind of curious what they have planned for this lot. Although that looks like quite an old plan. Usually you can see what's going on and at least the current status of any upcoming projects by popping into urbantoronto.ca. It's a good resource to search those things out. Although there's been no excavating done on that site yet. And that's the Allen Gardens. It features a botanical garden that's usually open to the public. I don't know its current status. The province has recently rolled back some of the restrictions on the size of gatherings allowed indoors and outdoors due to a spike in coronavirus cases. Here's the British Israel World Foundation of Canada. Sounds pretty serious. If you are curious, I have walked through the Allen Gardens in previous videos, but I think you can kind of get the gist of it from over here. I have done a late night walk up Sherbourne Street. But unfortunately, it's not the best lit of streets, which might be one reason why you wouldn't want to take it at night. And this next street is Carlton Street. So on the east side of Carlton, which would be to the right, would be the start of Cabbagetown, which is a neighborhood known for its Victorian style houses. That's St. Luke's United Church. That one dates back to 1874. There's the look east towards Cabbagetown. And just to the west, you'll find the historic Maple Leaf Gardens. Looks like someone found a nut. That's interesting. Perhaps there's a seat post theft problem as well. I certainly wouldn't leave any bicycle of value locked up too long around here, or anywhere in the city for that matter. And just up here on the left is the Phoenix Concert Hall. That opened back in the early 90s, I think 91. I've been there a number of times. You always park in this parking lot right here and then jump across the street. There's a radio station in Toronto that plays mostly alternative rock music, Edge 102. They used to have a regular night from Phoenix where they would DJ it. That's where most of my memories of going there are from. I can't really think of too many notable acts that have been there. I do know the Smashing Pumpkins did their Melancholy acoustic tour when they're performing at more intimate venues at the Phoenix. I think they did a couple of nights. Then they came back and played at Maple Leaf Gardens. That's the show I went to. And I think all of these houses here have some type of heritage status with the city. Again, it seems most of these properties date back to the mid-1800s. I'm still looking for one of these elusive e-bikes that the bike sharing program has. I'd be almost tempted to hop on one if I see one. There goes the 75. That's the bus that services Sherbourne. I think this will take you all the way down to Queens Quay. South of Front Street, it is Lower Sherbourne, as Front Street used to be considered the south end of the city. Oh, it looks like we have another friend. Let's not torment him. And this here is the Rosar Funeral Home. And I think this has been in business since 1878. It's one of, if not the oldest, still operating in the city. According to that plaque, it goes back to 1861. Perhaps there was another structure it was housed in before that one. Or maybe I'm just remembering my dates wrong. And we're at Wellesley Street East. Just like Carlton, this too will take you to Cabbagetown if you turn right here. And to the west, it'll lead you all the way through Queen's Park. This is the Wellesley Community Center on the right. And I'll finish this walk at Sherbourne Station at Bloor Street East, but if you were to continue north past Bloor, it would take you into Rosedale, which is one of the nicest and wealthiest residential neighborhoods in the city. And like the south end of Sherbourne, there does seem to be more condo developments at the north end. It's the in-between that is rather barren of developments. And just off to the right in there is St. Jamestown, which is a large housing complex built to be primarily lower cost housing. I've been meaning at some point to do a tour around Regent Park and St. Jamestown, as they both have a fairly interesting history to them. This next street is Isabella. You could take that to the left all the way into downtown to Yonge Street. Well, we are downtown, I guess, further into downtown would be more correct. There's a Pontiac Solstice sighting. You don't see too many of those anymore. You really don't see its twin, the Saturn sky, that much. And there's the old Isabella Hotel. I couldn't tell you what its TripAdvisor rating would be. That's the St. Jamestown West Park. These buildings are typical of the apartments in St. Jamestown. That guy should not be in the bike lane on that. We have a huge problem lately with people riding bikes and e-bikes where they shouldn't be in the city. And this here is probably one of the most interesting buildings on Sherbourne Street. That's the James Cooper House. There's actually the Sorry, that guy was kind of giving me a bit of a creepy stare. It's actually the largest and heaviest commercial or residential relocation in Canada. That house was moved, I think, 25 feet to the east and 5 feet to the south back in 2008 to help accommodate that condominium that sits behind it. Ah, the sun's in the way. And it cost them roughly $1 million to move it, so it was quite a costly project. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this house here on the corner of Selby and Howard Street used to be owned by a member of the Gooderham family. We're known for the Gooderham and Worts distillery down in the distillery district, as well as the Gooderham Flatiron building, which famously sits at Front and Church Street. So again, if you had money back then, this was one of the spots to build your house. And the sun went away. Maybe I can get a better view. And that too seems to have a new condo sticking out from behind it. The Korean Lutheran Church. We're at Bloor Street East and Sherbourne. There goes the e-bike across the pedestrian crossing and into the bike lane on the other side. Don't do that, folks. Don't even take your normal bike on the sidewalks here. I'm just going to throw on my mask and head down into Sherbourne Station. I think after this walk, I'll throw on a live stream since I'm in the city. But since I'm here, let's check out the subway. This is on line 2, so one stop to the west of here is Bloor Station, where you can transit to line 1, and one stop to the east of here is Castle Frank Station. I'm going to head maybe down towards the CN Tower area. And hopefully that's not my train. That is, it said line 2 for Kipling.
Stop the spread of COVID-19. Please wash and sanitize your hands frequently and avoid touching your face. Between Bloor
So it looks like the next train will be here in 3 or 4 minutes or so. I'm gonna wait in this area because I want to transfer to line 1 and head south at Bloor. So I hope you enjoyed this walk down Sherbourne Street. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. There are links to my Patreon account if you wish to support this channel in the description, as well as my Instagram account, which I've been quite lazy to make new posts to lately, but I'll try to give that a little more love and attention. Thanks again, and I'll catch you on the next one.